What's up, all you cool kids of the internet? Mark with Cardivox Academy here, and today I am excited to talk about Motionless in White Masterpiece. It's been a little while since this song came out. I'm a little bit behind the times, but what's new? That's how I live my life, pretty much. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Motionless in White always brings a pretty good vibe to the table. I will say they're not really like generally the genre that I'm into, although I have a lot of respect for them as musicians. I think Chris Motionless is a great vocalist, and even though it's not necessarily like what I would listen to generally on my own, every time I hear a Motionless in White song, I'm like, damn, them's some good tunes. They're doing what they're doing well. Now, if you're new to the channel, again, my name is Mark, and I am a metal vocalist myself. I'm in a band called Kardashev, and we actually just released a single through Metal Blade Records, and our album from Metal Blade Records is coming out on June 10th. Very exciting about that. I was in two previous projects, Never Breath and Viremia. Those are basically done for now, and I'm also a vocal coach specializing predominantly in death metal and deathcore types of screamy deliciousness. So this is a little bit outside of what we normally talk about, but it's always fun to do. If you like the content, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Means a lot to me. Put a comment down below if you had a good time or if you learned anything, or I don't know, you got any thoughts on your mind. And if you really love the content, be sure to check us out on Patreon. There is a link in the description below, and we do a lot of cool stuff there. Our Patreon basically exists as our Discord server. We've got people from all around the globe. We have vocalist-themed events twice a month, listening parties and hangouts every Friday night, so it's a really good time. You should come hang out if you really love the content. But really, more than anything, I just appreciate your time. I appreciate your, this video is probably going to be between 20 and 30 minutes, so I appreciate you giving me some of that time today. And that's it. That's all I got for you. Let's go ahead. Let's take this song. Let's break it down. Let's have some fun. Motionless in White, Masterpiece. Here we go.
All the stupid lies and the stupid games left a vacancy in this picture frame. A prisoner by my own hands. 'Cause if I can't have me, then no one can. I need to heal what I inflict, but I'll burn that bridge when I get to it. As I play roulette with a broken gun, I confess these sins with a sharp and spiteful tongue. So how do...
All right, so we just reached the chorus. Let's go ahead and pause there. Also, sorry, the direction I'm looking is kind of weird. I had a monitor break. I used to watch it on this monitor, but it's broken, and I got to rearrange my desk. So sorry, like the video's over here, but I'm looking this way. It's a little strange, but okay. So let's talk about a couple things. This intro is exactly why I really like Chris Motionless as a vocalist. Chris Motionless as a vocalist. That's fun to say. This exemplifies why I like him as a vocalist so much, because he manages to make a very comfortable space in the chest voice sound very, very poppy, very full, and very theatrical might not be the right word, but it's the word that comes to mind now. So he's starting, granted, I'm hearing this for the first time, so forgive me if I'm a note off, but I believe he's starting on an F3. Yeah, and then jumping up to either a C or a C sharp. Yeah, C sharp. Now, for many people that have vocal folds of the shape and size that is very similar to mine, that's a really easy place to be. Oftentimes with like metalcore and progressive metal and new metal and really a lot of the types of metal, I'm not saying that they're this genre, but they're one of them, right? Oftentimes the singing is very high. We're talking like upper half of the fourth octave and into the fifth octave. And that can be really, really tough. And that can make practicing these types of songs difficult. But Motionless in White, a lot of the singing that Chris does is in a very comfortable space for a lot of people. Now, if it's too low, you can of course transpose it up, but the way that he makes it work is he adds a lot of brightness to his voice. He exaggerates his vowels. So many of his vowels exist. Ah, ha. He leads in with some fry to create some intimacy, plays around with the compression, the level of breathiness in his voice. So he's got a little bit of hey, yeah, ha, right? Now, of course, he's in his genre, he's in his comfort zone, but big forward vowels, right? A little bit of fry to make it a little bit interesting, playing around with the airflow. Another thing that's really important is when people are trying to mimic this type of singing, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll squeeze the glottis. The glottis is the space around your vocal folds, right? So they'll squeeze the vocal folds themselves, and they'll try to get this sound all right there. You don't need to do that, and you don't want to do that, right? It is true that we can play with very subtle variations in pressure underneath our vocal folds, but generally speaking, if we're wanting to change the timbre of our voice, we want to start doing that with the tongue, the shape of the mouth, the way that we're aiming resonance. You can change the shape of the top of the throat a little bit if you want to add some twang or some cry to things. But generally speaking, what we should focus on is having our voice bright with our throat relaxed. And a really easy way to do that is to just do, and this is not my idea, but to do what I would call like SpongeBob scales, right? So you sing la, la, right? You just kind of get that going. It's exaggerated. It doesn't sound good. But if you then pull back on it after you've learned how to control it there, it can make, singing with a brighter timbre very easy. Let's keep going. Because it's probably a good idea. Let's keep going and listen to more of the song. I'm going to go back a little bit so we can hear this chorus.
With a broken gun, I confess these sins with a sharp and spiteful tongue. So how do I apologize and put the tears back in your eyes when every canvas that I burnt is a masterpiece made of my mistakes.
Let's talk about that chorus. That chorus was awesome. It's like anthemic, but down tempo at the same time. And that's really cool. I mean, I guess anthemic sounds can be down tempo. I don't know why I found that surprising, but it's, maybe I should say anthemic and yet thoughtful. Anthemic, and it feels a little bit introspective. Now, so far, I think the highest note he's hitting is either an F4 or an F sharp 4. So this, again, for people whose vocal folds are very similar to mine, this is going to be actually a pretty good song for you to practice with, right? Because so far we're just spanning one octave. And so what you can do is you can take a major chord, like you can do an F major, include the octave, and you can sing up and down that scale, right? Another really good option are songs that start and end on the same note, just an octave apart. So like, for example, Row Your Boat does that. The opening note and the lowest note and the highest note are going to be the same. So singing those types of songs can be very, very helpful. Now, of course, he's doing things that are more dynamic than that. He's doing things that are more advanced than that. One thing that I'm noticing is he's really controlling the distortion on his voice very well, again, without squeezing the throat. It's a really important thing to know. I'm a big believer, and it's not just me, right? This isn't like my special technique. This is pretty standard across the board, that distortion should be paired with relaxation. There may be some rare exceptions to this, but if you feel like you're like tightening or squeezing the throat overly hard, then you're relying on muscles that you don't really need to use. As an example of this, I'm going to do a scream that's much more in my genre of music versus this, but a lot of the concepts and the basic theory is the same, right? When I do this sound, when I do those noises, I'm not squeezing a whole lot in my throat. Not much, right? There's a little bit of closure at the top. And that's going to be true for a lot of things. Fry vocals, what I call like the hardcore belt, right? Well, it's, again, not just me. False chords, more like compressed false chords, all of these things, they're going to be predominantly paired on relaxation. That's also, being relaxed is also what's allowing him to kind of shift his timbre. I don't remember there's one word, I don't remember what it was, but he really darkened the tone almost too much, but in a good way. He utilizes exaggeration very, very well in a way that doesn't seem overdone. It actually is very engaging. I'm sure the chorus will come back. Maybe I'll point it out then, but think forward, think bright, think relaxed. If this is kind of the direction that you want to go, get sort of used to singing in this voice. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, right? And then when you pull it back, it's not warm when she's away. It'll sound a little bit better. Let's keep going. E. Paint. Paint. It's kind of pain. P-E. It sounds like he maybe jutted his jaw forward. Paint. Right? Of course, you know, coming from a different placement and everything like that. Interesting. Yeah, so he really warms up the voice. It sounds to me like he drops the tongue, not pushing the larynx down too far, drops the tongue and juts the jaw forward a little bit. That would be my suspicion. Now, another really cool thing is the layering that we used to get into the second chorus there. Really cool stuff. So we had his clean voice with maybe like a little bit of rasp, a little bit of grit. Then we had a very solid, what sounded like a fry scream back behind that. Now, if you've watched any of my videos before, you know I am not a producer. I don't do any of my own editing on my own singing. That is all Nico, who is the guitarist in Kardashev. And then we usually send it out to a guy in Tennessee named Maya, who works a studio called SoundLayer. So when I talk about producing, I'm not telling you how to do it. I'm just talking about what I hear, right? But I hear two, maybe three layers, and that's adding a lot of fullness to his voice. Some people think layered vocals are cheating. Stop. Right? It's like nobody is gonna, well, maybe some people, but like when you listen to that, you can hear that there are multiple voices going on for effect. Like if you don't like layered vocals, then you know, you how do you justify effects on guitars? I don't know. Anyway, it sounds awesome, and I really like it. Now, it sounds like we're building up into kind of a bigger moment. I was wondering if this song was going to be mostly down-tempo all the way through, but it sounds like we're going to get something good. So, well, we've got a lot of good so far. I'm going to go back. Ludo, sorry for backtracking. Ludo is the editor. He edits my videos. Sorry for the backtracking. I'll put us right here. And no, I'll go back a little further. Now this is fine. Uh-oh.
Illustrate all my pain and set it all ablaze.
Oh!
Burn. And set it all ablaze.
That was awesome. It's really interesting. I was expecting a lot of fry screams in this song because Chris has a great fry scream. A lot of that sounded more false chord driven. So that surprised me. Let's go back a little.
Illustrate all my pain and set it all ablaze.
Yeah.
Burn. And set it all ablaze.
Yeah, really interesting. I feel like there may have been a fry layer in the back, but he does two main screams, right? One is honestly based on just like a gritty belt, right? He's hitting I believe it was an F4. And it's when he's saying blaze, and it's like a very rock music. Hey, blaze! Ooh, I'm clipping. Blaze! Right? It's based on that, which is it's very simple, it's very easy to do. That's not downplaying it, but it's a pretty simple technique. You take your false chord grunt, hey, combine it with like a really well supported note, right? Anytime you hear the voice, your true voice, along with your distortion, I'm a firm believer in that you should have a good level of control over your clean voice first. I don't think you should jump into this, but when I take, hey, please, right? And we kind of get that sound. Sorry, I'm clipping. All my levels are weird lately. And then when he says burn, it's a very relaxed, open, burn, right? He's got a little bit more true chord phonation in there. Burn, something like that. I was expecting different screams. I like these screams, but I was expecting different ones. Y'all, if you're wanting to sing and scream, this is a great song for you to practice to. Everything's sitting in one octave The false chord, the vocals that we have here, which to my ear are predominantly false chord based, are very achievable, very accessible. I want to hear that section one more time because that flame scream, I just want to re-examine, make sure I'm on the right track here. Yeah, if you love Motionless in White and you want to practice, this is a good song for you to practice because it is both approachable and accessible as far as like fundamentals, but there's enough dynamics and advanced stuff going on where you can kind of grow on top of it. You can work on this song for a couple months and see yourself improve. Cool song, really cool song.
Illustrate all my pain and set it all ablaze. Burn and set it all ablaze.
Yeah, so he's saying burn, not flame, I think. My apologies. But yeah, it's based on just the sigh. Hey, burn, burn, burn. My levels are whack. But really cool. Awesome. Not what I expected, but I like it.
So how do I
Nice.
apologize and put the tears back in your eyes when every canvas that I paint is a masterpiece of my mistakes, and in the light of my demise I see my failures in your eyes. Every canvas that I paint is a masterpiece made of my mistakes.
Wake up, buddy. All right, cool. So, yeah, kind of a short and sweet video here, but a lot of good stuff going on. A lot of good stuff. What an excellent song for people to practice to. I like, even if you're not into Motionless in White, this is a great song for you to practice to. Overall, awesome performance. I love the dynamics that Chris put on his voice. I actually enjoyed listening to his voice a little bit more in this song than some others because I felt like since the song was a bit slower, a bit contemplative, I guess, he was able to really show off the nuance that he puts on his voice without it coming across as like, ooh, look what I can do. He was just storytelling really well. And I like that. So if you want to do this kind of singing, focus first on your chest voice. Focus first. If you're brand new, like this is if you're brand new, focus first on just singing comfortably in a range that is easy for you, right? Again, if your vocal folds are of a similar size and shape to mine, you're going to be probably the most comfortable from C3 to C4, and then, lowering down, expanding up is certainly possible, but that's just a really good place to start. And then from there, when you want to add some brightness in your timbre or some brightness to your voice, start singing like, yeah, park the car and have it, yeah, that sort of stuff. It sounds terrible, but when you learn how to do it, yeah, you pull back. It's a little bit more achievable. Beyond that, that's really all I have to say. Again, short and sweet, but it's a great song. I like it. It's a win. Again, if you like the content, please like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot. Check us out on Patreon if you want to. But more than anything, I appreciate your time. And as always, many thanks, much love. I'm out.